Hello guys, welcome here to another edition of Out of Turn 4. I'm Brian here coming up on the show. We're going to recap the Indy NASCAR Double at Indianapolis, included as well with the Lucas Oil Raceway event for the Truck Series, which we'll start with in just a moment. We're also going to talk the latest Alex Palou drama, the latest IndyCar silly season news, as well as the NASCAR silly season news. And then, of course, we will talk about our race picks for Watkins Glen. But we begin with the Truck Series at Lucas Oil, and Ty Majeski goes on to win that race. He will advance to the round of 8. And, man, congrats to him. I know Thor Sport, they've been real quiet so far since switching back to Ford, but it appears they've got a grip on things right now. Not a huge fan of Ty, but I know he's worked just as hard as half of the other guys to get this opportunity. So good to see Ty get to victory lane, and he will advance to the round of 8. I didn't watch much of the race. SVG I know did not exactly have the best result. But, it's his first oval. Of course, he has announced as well that it sounds like he's going to be doing kind of a multi-series deal with Trackhouse Racing, which I didn't include in my notes for the racing news, so I'll talk a little bit about that. But if I had to guess, he's going to run probably 5 to 10 races for Trackhouse next year. Whether it's in the 91 or another entry. He will then run probably a couple Xfinity races with Colleague. It sounds like Colleague and Trackhouse have kind of built a relationship now. We know Justin Marks has said he has no interest in entering an Xfinity program. So that's why I say, you know what, it's either going to be Colleague or Junior Motorsports that this... I'd even say Junior Motorsports, maybe with the 88, maybe that's a possibility that they enter, a handful of races. And then as far as the Truck Series goes, I think he's going to run very close to a full season with Nice Motorsports, if I had to guess, because Nice and Trackhouse are very well linked. So that would be my guess. He's going to run near a full season of trucks. Quite a handful of Xfinity events, and then 5 to 10 Cup events with Trackhouse Racing, probably in that 91. Of course, we know Justin Marks wanted to purchase a third charter. No one's selling, and frankly, like I said, with the future charters at stake, not exactly a wise idea. So. We'll talk IndyCar next. We'll kind of go in chronological order. Scott Dixon, man, you saw that first lap spin and you thought, man, this guy's out of it. He's having a rough year. There's no way he comes back from this. No, he out-strategizes everybody. Mike Hall gets him out in front. Ray Hall got close at the end, but needed at least another lap to get him. So Scott Dixon hangs on, gets his 53rd career win and his 19th straight season with the victory. No doubt, Scott Dixon, one of, if not the greatest IndyCar driver in history. So no shock we're talking about him here. Man, I wanted that for Ray Hall so bad, but Ray Hall had the faster car. Got marred in that lap traffic, and it just, like I said, he needed simply another lap. He needed another lap or two, and he just wasn't going to get it. So unfortunate, because he was the fastest car. I think Graham Rahal was the car to beat, but hey, Dixon, and Mike Hall, excellent strategy. I mean, I can't say much more than that. Just an excellent strategy to get the lead, to get the win. That's all I gotta say. And thank God this is the last, race number 2 at Indy Road Course for the IndyCar series from the sounds of it. Because, of course, it's well documented. I don't like seeing 2 races at IRP or at Indy Road Course each year, but it does put on a good show. But again, a 17 race schedule, you shouldn't be running 2 road courses or road course twice, basically. You shouldn't even run an oval twice. Sorry to Hy-Vee in Iowa, but something's got to give there too. Ty Gibbs, he goes on to hold off AJ Allmendinger for the Xfinity win. His first win since his dad passed away at Phoenix last year. After saying that, and of course his first win since he won the championship at Phoenix, so I'll be nice. Congratulations. He's been working hard all year. He's on the verge of making the Cup Series playoffs. So, good for him. So not much else to say. But now we're on to the Cup Series, and man, I don't think anybody had this in mind. I think definitely a lot of people thought, hey, Michael McDowell, I think a lot of people, including, Mr. Denny Hamlin, wrote off Michael McDowell. And Michael McDowell took that as a challenge. He goes on, he wins at Indy. And he didn't just win it, he dominated it. Which is shocking to say about any Front Row Motorsports entry. But I'm telling you, this team, and I said last year, this is the best Ford team right now. Now, I think this year they're a little behind RFK, but I still think, the sentiment is the same. I still think they are probably the best Cup team, the best Ford team right now. Briscoe, he's 31st in the points. An absolutely disappointing season across the board for him. Then, Ryan Preece is probably their next best driver right now besides Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick is just anchoring that team. And then, of course, Ryan Preece isn't far behind, but Almirola could be, same argument could be made there. But man, Briscoe having an abysmal season. This is like a massive step back for him versus last year. So he's going to need a win. I don't know if it's going to come. But nonetheless, congratulations to McDowell. I wanted Chase to win it. He fell just short. And of course, with that, the bubble has moved now. We have 2 races left. Harvick, Keselowski, and Bubba at this point are all in on points if the playoffs started Sunday. Harvick and Keselowski, if there's no new winners, they're pretty much in. There's nobody that's going to outpoint them in the next 2 races to get in. So, now Bubba, on the other hand, Bubba's cushion is starting to shrink, guys. Okay? He's going to need a good run, and he's not a road course ringer by any means. But he's going to have to, somehow survive Watkins Glen. And frankly, he might just have to win Daytona to have a shot at it. I don't feel very confident that they will get it done. But again, anything could happen any given week. So, 13 different winners so far. Watkins Glen coming up, and of course we know how Hendrick dominated that has been. If I had to guess who will point in, because Ty Gibbs also got bumped this past week. Man. I feel like, I feel like the only way Ty Gibbs is getting in is a win. I think that's about the only way he's getting in. Okay, you can look back. Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, they're not pointing in. I feel like Suarez benefits the most. I feel like Suarez makes the most sense. He's definitely gotten a lot more aggressive. He looked really good. I mean, frankly, he was probably the only car that could have competed with McDowell and Chase Elliott last weekend. So I wouldn't doubt that he's going to do the same at Watkins Glen. Put up a good finish. And if I'm 23-11 right now, I'm a little nervous about Bubba making it because, Daytona is such and again, Bubba Wallace is such a good super speedway racer, but they are such wild cards. They are such wild cards that you just can't mark it as a win. But he is going to have probably one of the best runs of his career to get a win, to get in. Assuming there's no new winner, I could see Suarez pointing in. I think that makes the most sense. Again, I already said Harvick, Keselowski, they're in. I mean, unless we get two new winners in the next 2 weeks and they have to battle it out, they're in. End of discussion there. So, but if things stay the same, again, my pick is Suarez. I think Suarez will be the third and final driver to point in if we don't have any new winners. And again, I don't think that's going to happen. You'll see in my race picks later, but also, I mean, Daytona coming up, and for as good as Bubba Wallace is at Daytona, for as good as Bubba Wallace is at Talladega and these draft-dependent tracks, I mean, you've also got Austin Cindric, who won the 500 last year. Now, again, he's been off this year. He's not had a good year, but it doesn't mean anything right now. Any given weekend, and it could be Austin Cindric's weekend. And Austin Cindric's also good at road courses. Penske could have it ready to go for Watkins Glen. Ford's been on a roll lately. So don't rule him out yet. Justin Haley is going to be a big threat at Daytona to get a win. Corey LaJoie, he could very well get a win at Daytona. Don't even rule out Todd Gilliland getting a win. I know McDowell wants to expand his lead, but will Front Row Motorsports, I think now the focus could be shifting to Todd Gilliland, which, by the way, there's news on Front Row Motorsports too I got to talk about, and I will in a second. But again, Eric Jones, he's had a good run the last few weeks. Can he make it? And he's won at Daytona before. So has Austin Dillon. So I feel like those guys, are, as far as the guys who aren't in right now, those guys are the biggest threats to get in. So, don't rule them out just yet. And then, of course, Ryan Blaney, we know could win. But again, Ryan Blaney already in the playoffs with the win. So, but Keselowski's good at Daytona too. As far as pointing in, I would have said AJ, but that team, man, I don't know what happened, but ever since Richmond, this team has just been pretty bad. So, I hate to say it about Colleague Racing too, but, they've not had it good of late. Now, I do want to talk about Front Row Motorsports before we get on to the rest of the big racing news that I had. Of course, it was announced this week in surprising fashion, because usually Front Row waits till the end of the season to make their announcements, and a surprise driver's going full-time once again. So Michael McDowell has been announced that he will return to Front Row Motorsports in 2024. Joining him will be Todd Gilliland in the 38 full-time. This one comes as a shocker, because every report you read it was like Todd Gilliland's on his way out. There's no saving him. He's had a great year. He doesn't have the funding. They got Zane Smith. That's their future. And it would appear that Zane Smith is no longer in their future plans. Bob Jenkins saying that he feels the team is doing well right now. He wants to stick with the veteran drivers, doesn't want to insert a rookie in. And it makes sense. It makes sense, You're doing well. Sorry, had a fly I had to kill. But, it makes sense. And I gotta praise Jenkins for going that route. I know they also wanted to purchase a third charter to have Zane Smith drive a third car for him, and unfortunately nobody's selling, much like the Trackhouse situation. But again, I'm in complete shock that Todd Gilliland is back, but at the same time, Zane Smith is so good. But I see why Front Row wanted to go this direction, because it seems like these are their two best drivers right now. Zane's gonna have a bright future, but it looks like now he has been cleared to go talk to other teams. It would appear Stewart-Haas is in the cards for him potentially for the 10 ride. I know there are some Ford teams in Xfinity with plans to still be discussed. Maybe Front Row builds an Xfinity team next year and puts Zane Smith in the car. That's a possibility. RSS Racing. I don't think you can write RSS Racing off, because look at what Eric Almirola did, and granted it was in a Stewart-Haas built car, but again, he got a win. But I just can't say enough that Zane Smith has a world of possibility now. I think he's going to stay in the Ford camp. I feel like that's going to be the direction that they go. We know Hochevar more than likely is going up to Cup next year with Spire. It appears that Spire wants to rush him up. So I feel like Zane Smith maybe feels that pressure, that it's time for him to move up 2 steps. But there's Xfinity still. There's still a world of possibility in Xfinity. You could race for Stewart-Haas next year in the 98. We know nothing's confirmed for Riley Herbst next year. Maybe he drives the 98 or third entry for Stewart-Haas. Maybe he goes to the 10. It appears Tony Stewart doesn't want pay drivers. Zane brings some sponsorship, but and Smithfield could stay on board with Zane Smith. You never know. But I think, there's possibilities for Zane. I wouldn't write him off yet as far as not going to the Cup Series. Even the Wood Brothers is on the cards, but again, we'll see. We got a long off season. We still got a little bit left to go in the show, and we don't have much time. So let's get into the rest of the news. Helio Castroneves has announced he will step away from full-time IndyCar competition. His new role will be that he is a minority stakes holder in Meyershank Racing. He is also going to be their driver coach going forward. He will continue, though, the Drive for 5, driving a third Meyershank Racing entry at the Indianapolis 500 only. And I believe it's a multi-year deal for that. But, of course, the latest news is Tom Blomqvist, of course, the very accomplished sports car driver. He will now join the IndyCar ranks full-time in the number 06 entry. So, of course, that is great for him. I know he's wanted to move up. So, or I know he's wanted to move to IndyCar. So that would be nice. Sorry, I had to look up the rest of the story, but of course, Tom Blomqvist will be on a multi-year deal to be in IndyCar. His first race wasn't exactly great. We know this team's in kind of a rebuild, restructure mode in terms of, they need to get better, plain and simple. So Tom is a good addition to the team, I think, and having Elio as the driver coach overseeing both programs, that's going to be crucial for them. Of course, as far as Simon Pagenaud's future, first off, hope he's recovering well. But as far as his future, still up in the air, I'd imagine. But I could see him returning as well to that 60 ride. To at least have a veteran behind the wheel with the rookie. But Linus Lundqvist is also putting the pressure on him. So it's possible Linus could be in that second ride, We'll see. Time will tell. Noah Gragson this week announced he would like to be released, or he asked Legacy Motor Club to be released from his contract and will be released amid, of course, liking that racist meme. He will be focusing on the reinstatement process and coming back to the Cup ranks full time, I believe, in 2024. The fact that it came from Noah Gragson's end was the most shocking part, because I expected him not to return. But the fact that's coming from his end is astonishing. I figured Legacy Motor Club after 2 weeks would have said, well, he's reinstated, we're releasing him anyway. We can't have this on the team. I hope he comes back. I hope he learns something. There's going to be seats available. Of course, the 2 colleague seats up for grabs. The Rick Ware Racing entry, there's still one of those up for grabs. There's a boatload of Xfinity rides that are going to be open next season. So he's got options. I don't think this is the end for him. So we'll see. Hopefully he comes back smarter and stronger from this. And again, we'll see what the offseason has to offer. Alex Palou, man. It's something about mid-August. Something about it just unleashes, like, dramatic Alex Palou. But Alex Palou has announced he will not race for Arrow McLaren in 2024, despite signing that contract and already receiving pay from McLaren. Of course, the other bit of news to that is Alex Palou has fired his management team. Alex Palou, of course, I believe they said he is a reserve driver for McLaren in F1. He is being recruited by AlphaTauri and I believe Williams. There's 2 teams in F1 recruiting him right now. And of course McLaren's still a possibility. But as of now, it would appear if Alex Palou stays in IndyCar, it will be with Chip Ganassi Racing. If he moves on, he's still got F1 seats, potentially. McLaren CEO Zach Brown has said basically he's disappointed and that he has no further comments at this time. Chip Ganassi has come out with probably one of the more vocal statements I've ever seen out of Chip Ganassi, saying basically laughing at it, saying McLaren's playing the victim after last season, poaching his driver, trying to steal him from the roster. And then, of course, that went to court. And, ultimately Palou returned for what was expected to be his final season at Chip Ganassi Racing. But basically, Chip also said that he has no respect for the current McLaren administration. We're going to probably see, now mind you, McLaren, I imagine, is going to take this to court. I feel like now this just another season of just an absolute mayhem of who the hell is going to be driving for McLaren and who the hell is going to be driving for Ganassi in 2024 full time. Because, oh man, like, Palou could get forced to drive there next year regardless because he signed a contract. Now, on the other hand, he could go to, F1. That's still a possibility, but based on the way he stepped down from McLaren, I'd have to imagine he's going to Chip Ganassi Racing again in 2024, assuming that the court battles don't go anywhere. But it'll be another off season where or another end to the year that we're just talking about Alex Palou going to court over contracts. So, but I tweeted it a while ago again at Tinkle_BeHummel. I tweeted, that Alex Palou should stay in IndyCar. I tweeted that. I said he has the potential to be one of the greats, much like his teammate. And I think, I would rather be a great in IndyCar than be a backmarker in F1 because you're not going to compete with Red Bull. So, my sentiment holds true. I don't see why anybody, and this is just my opinion, I don't see why anybody would want to go to F1 in its current state. I don't know why anybody would want to go there. And maybe that's what Palou is seeing, and he's like, you know what? I'm doing pretty well over here. I got a lot I can accomplish. Becoming a two-time champ is one of those things, and he's going to, basically. I mean, it's just, we're counting down the weeks till he clinches. So, again, we'll see. And just another off-season, we're going to have to talk about this. So with that, let's make the picks. Xfinity Series at Watkins Glen this weekend. It says AJ Allmendinger on the entry list. It is Kyle Busch in the number 10 this weekend. At least at last check it was. So I'm going to pick Kyle Busch. He's always good at Watkins Glen in the Xfinity Series, and I don't think we have any reason to believe otherwise. Cup Series at Watkins Glen, I am picking Chase Elliott. It's been a Hendrick-dominated track for many, many years, or at least the last few years. I think Chase will punch his ticket in, and Bubba's going to be in a must-win at Daytona. There's just no way around it, I don't think. So, again, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, those are my picks for the weekend. I want to thank you guys for watching. Tune in to No Final Bell. And we will be back here on Tuesday with another edition, next Tuesday with another edition of Out of Turn 4. Sunday Morning Tinkle, though, will return Sunday the 27th. So that is also coming up. I still got to talk to Jason to confirm it, but I imagine the 27th we will be back with Sunday Morning Tinkle. So we hope to see you then. Until next Tuesday, goodbye, everyone.